UBC has a commitment to research excellence. Obviously, it's part of their Place of Promise agreement. These things are. There are a number of challenges surrounding this idea of research excellence. It definitely is an idea that has a lot of different facets. Part of that is the research that goes on at UBC, attracting researchers to UBC, building a reputation for research excellence at UBC. And then part of that is also sort of creating this context in which the research that is done at UBC can be understood by people who aren't doing the research. I'm an English lit major. These two know so much more about research and like the things that they're doing than I do. Yeah. So that was the issue that we sort of focused on. Is this? We are looking at. There's a sentence in here that I'm going to say is the key to nurturing research excellence is recognizing and promoting that excellence to external communities. And so the challenge that we're looking at here is how to connect the research that's being done at UBC to and bridge that gap, mediate between UBC's research and the external communities. So, these guys. The key word that we sort of came up with is the idea of sharing information.
So the idea that we were thinking was how to make the community to know about what the excellent research that is being done here. So the idea one is to promote that cultural community involvement at UBC. So one of the main things is that the people that actually, the students that do community based research actually can feel that and in touch with the community, so they can actually understand the research they're doing is actually to benefit the community that they're working with. But the people that actually do basic research, somehow they can get lost on the way, or they cannot actually understand how they're going to help the people out there. So I would say that most of the people are kind of lost in that path. So most of the people that do that research is graduate students, and something that we actually talk about it is that UBC should put more attention into actually pushing graduate students to get more involved with communities. One of the possible solutions and to tackle that challenge is basically working with the Faculty of Graduate Studies and Graduate Student Society. So one of the possibilities is, for example, the Faculty of Graduate Studies, we can promote scholarships where one of the main issues could be like community involvement or extracurricular activities, and that could be junior scholarships or senior scholarships depending on how the student is involved in that area. And also making professors, which does a big deal for people that are actually doing basic research, basically, especially biology, science research, is making professors understand that graduate students can be involved in that. So, and the Graduate Student Society is just doing magazines with lay language research, basically. So.
I'll be talking about research collaborations, the idea of reaching out to these external communities. One that we talked about is national and international research networks, the creation. And this is sort of facilitated by grants and grant proposals that you could apply for. But promoting that the idea of having like a center or a network that could help with like having an open source database or some kind of knowledge channel exchange, so that institutions and researchers and people in the community can access and look at these kinds of research and see where funding is going, where work is being done, where work needs to be improved, where excellence has been achieved in those areas. This also ties into training opportunities, both again, national, international, not just local. A graduate student can very well go to a different area in the institution at part of UBC. So someone from VGH can go to the Life Science Center, for example, to work on some skills that they may be lacking at. But also having these training opportunities with people or with places in different parts of the country and promoting them, even international networks. Also, we wanted to touch on academia and industry learning opportunities, maybe learning exchanges, learning about what industry is for academia or academics, and the opposite, what academics has to offer to industry, and promoting those kinds of learning exchanges.
Great, thank you so much. We'll open up the floor for questions and feedbacks. We have 5 minutes. Any questions?
Where do you think we are currently in this process? 10 is we're doing the job, and I can say we're not there for sure. But 0 is we just really have to start thinking about this. Are we anywhere? And are there some things that we're currently doing that we should be building on beyond what you talked about?
Personally, I would say that you're in a really good path, or UBC is in a really good path, and it's something that I love and I'm passionate about, and I'm really happy to be here. That's one of the main reasons. Something that it could be more pushed for is what we mentioned, and on the research collaborations, I would say UBC is very well in terms of having collaborations with developed countries, but not with developing countries. I don't see them, and I don't notice them, and they are not out there. So, and I think that's a very good opportunity to show how UBC is doing really good research internationally, at the international level, to actually promote collaborations with them, that they can come here, train, or vice versa, people can go and have intercultural exchanges and things like that. So
how do you catalyze that? Because there's no question that the research collaborations with developing countries.
putting a big impact on international students. International students come here, and there is a huge amount of international students at UBC,
Yes.
and they can actually get that connections. Personally, I am saying, I'm talking based on my experience, I am making that connection with my country and with the universities in my country with UBC. So I'm pretty sure many students, international students that are coming to UBC are really happy to do that, and I'm pretty sure they will be open to do that.
Thank you.
I would like to commend you guys. I'm Andy Torr. I do communications for the Vice President of Research International Office, and I prepared your case study. And you guys had a serious challenge, because essentially what we gave you was not an initiative or a specific concrete activity. It was intentionally a very broad summary of the mid-level research plan for the university, which is not yet published, and is in fact going to be published at the end of this month. So the cool thing is you guys get a chance to engage with that mid-level strategy before it becomes part of the public domain. And there has been a lot of engagement with this strategy before through consultations with the university community. But it's vague, right? It's not meant to be really granular and something that you can really chew on, because it's designed for the faculty to then take and the units to align their initiatives with. So I think you guys did a great job in terms of identifying the challenges here. In particular, the challenges of basic research is something that we're very much aware of, and part of that challenge is that most people just don't understand the importance of basic research. But basic research is behind all innovation. The fact of the matter is UBC is actually very, very good at basic research. When you look at something like quantum physics, we've got one of the best quantum physics departments, some of the best researchers in the world here. And not a lot of people know that, because it's pretty abstract stuff. But you're bang on about finding ways to drive home the importance of that and to continue getting the funding in. That's something that the VP is heavily involved in at the federal level with the government. And I also think that you're bang on about the international activities. It's something the university is very much aware of in terms of trying to identify and coordinate exactly what's happening out there. One of the main challenges is that the research community is investigator-led. So it's not like the VP Research says, okay, we're going to focus on neuroscience this year, everybody. It's the investigators are allowed to do whatever they want, and what our job is to identify areas of excellence as they emerge, provide infrastructure support, funding, nurture those areas, and so you can imagine it being incredibly difficult to try to identify and collate all of those international activities in a meaningful way for the public to engage in. And that's one of the major challenges in our office is involved in this several units around the campus, which are all trying to wrap their heads around that. But Olga, I know, I was involved in the CFI presentation with you a few weeks ago, and I know that you're very active internationally, and I think you would like to be more active internationally, particularly in developing nations, and that's why we have the Neglected Global Diseases Initiative, and why we have all,
that's what I like.
yeah, all of the other things. So it is happening. One of the major challenges, of course, on an international perspective is funding. Getting international students to apply to UBC is one thing. Getting them to come here with funding is another thing. And of course, from a faculty member's point of view, if you have to choose between a strong student with no funding and a strong student with funding, you're probably going to take the student with funding. So in addition to improving international applications, we also need to work with those particular countries to identify funding opportunities and funding programs. So in all, you guys did a terrific job.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I have a ton of ideas, so I'm open to talk. Everything I have in my mind. Yeah.
Any last thoughts? Great. There will be some time after all the presentations are done to do some networking as well, so if you have further questions or would like to connect about other things, you'll have that opportunity at the end. So thank you so much.